Guys, we got a great show today. We're going to be doing end of season fantasy awards, and we're also going to do a little bit of this or that. So hang tight.
Fantasy football, you dealing with the best. Keep it hype, authentic, just ain't nothing like the rest. With the Armchair Fantasy Show podcast, give advice for all the listeners to improve your stats. Yeah, we live on goingfor2.com. Tuesdays and Fridays, this is what you want. Talking dynasties and daily drafts, and we just getting started, that ain't even the half. Yeah, so go ahead, tell your friends to join. Going for two, cause no one remembers the extra point. Hey, goingfor2.com, the Armchair Fantasy Show.
Is going on, guys? Welcome to episode 123 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. Coming at you every Friday night and Tuesday night on Facebook Live, Periscope, and YouTube. Streaming as well in the Going for Two app and available in all your major podcast networks. I'm here, as always, with my co-host, Mr. Ryan Searfoss. Ryan, how you doing tonight, man? I think you're on mute, Ryan.
I thought I was on mute before, and I muted myself. My bad.
That's all good.
I've been fantastic. It's fantasy playoff time, man. It's where the money's made.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Also joining us tonight, I'm gonna butcher your name. I know I am. Melissa McGilter, right?
McGilton.
McGilton.
Super Irish.
All right.
I believed in you too, but it's all right.
McGilton.
McGilton. Got it.
It's not that hard.
Obviously a Vikings fan here, so
Yep.
I think
all day.
All of our teams should be in the playoffs this year. Ryan's a Ravens fan. So. I'm a Niners fan, so we should be good. All right, so we got a lot of things to talk about here, but quickly before we get into the news and notes, I just want to get some a couple of program notes here real quick. So next week's show will be the last fantasy football show of the year. We will pick up again next year, but we do have a new show that we're starting. Myself, Ryan, and one of our colleagues are going to be doing, it's basically 4 to 5 minute shows where we preview some of the upcoming rookies for your dynasty leagues, and we're just going to do one rookie per show. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's called the Going for Two War Room, and it should be starting sometime early January, so be on the lookout for that. The DFS show actually is last week is next week as well. The DFS show won't continue into the off season, but me and Ryan will keep doing our show, our regular full show, as well as the 5-minute War Room shows as well. All right, let's go ahead and just jump right into the news and notes, guys.
News and notes from around the league.
All right, and how rude of me, Melissa. I didn't get a chance to give you something to talk about yourself a little bit. Tell us how long you've been playing fantasy and how you doing so far this year.
Just a couple years. I ended up making it to the upper tier of our playoffs. This is the first year using the sleeper. We're in a full point PPR. I finished 6-7 technically, as of right now, and I'm going to be battling it out to figure out if I'm third or fourth. So,
gotcha.
Could be worse. Could be better.
Good deal. And Ryan, I know we didn't get a chance to talk last week because we had to cancel the show, but your Ravens, unfortunately, did get the best of our team last week, or 2 weeks ago. They got us by a field goal. It was a really good game, though. I'm looking forward to the playoffs, and maybe we'll meet in the playoffs in the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, man, it was funny. You faked being sick to avoid talking about the game. I wasn't going to bring that up. I completely forgot about it, and I didn't put 2 to 2 together right now, but it's okay, man.
Yeah. If anybody watched the Friday show, then they would know that I was definitely sick, because not only was I sick, but I took some NyQuil before the show, and then I'm drinking during the show. And some of the things I said on that podcast, I was way off. I mean, I had the wrong matchups. I had the Niners playing the Chiefs for some reason. I don't know. I was all messed up. It was not a show that I should have done, but we did it anyway. All right, so now let's get to the news and notes. The first one I got here, we got a bunch of guys that went on IR this week, tons of guys. So the first one I got is Mr. Parrish Campbell going to IR. He wasn't really a big relevance as far as fantasy goes this year. He's been injured in and out of the lineup a lot, Ryan. But talk about the receivers and what that does for the ones that are still there that are healthy, which there aren't very many left in Indianapolis.
I mean, it's Zach Pascal, and they just sound Dontrell Hyman this week.
Yep.
It's a terrible situation there. I mean, you're gonna see a heavy dose of running the ball. Might see a little bit more Naheem Hines in the passing game than we've seen this year, which I'm pretty excited about. But as a general, it's not a great outlook. There's not many pass catchers I want, other than maybe the tight ends.
Right.
And Pascal. I think he's done well in times he's gotten heavy volume, and he's a guy who can be someone you can start with all these injuries to literally everybody this week.
Yep, agreed 100%. Also going on IR is a running back, Darius Geis. Again, another player that was kind of in and out all year. He finally came back, had a good game, and then, of course, goes back out on IR again. What are your thoughts on this Redskins team and this Redskins backfield now, which is basically Adrian Peterson's now, Melissa?
I obviously am a big believer in AP. I don't have faith with Haskins behind the wheel there. It's also not looking very good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked Geis too, but he's out for the season, so I don't have much faith.
Yep.
Buy in Dynasty.
Yeah, buy in Dynasty, which Ryan was saying last year as well, and I think it's still a buy. I think you can get him super cheap now because people are definitely disappointed that he's going to be out for the year once again. Probably didn't have him much in their lineups this week as well.
I played him this week and last week.
Let's get to some more relevant fantasy players here. Some guys that have been good all year. We'll do two receivers, Ryan. Talk about DJ Chark a little bit. He's in a walking boot. Hasn't officially been ruled out yet, but it looks pretty bleak. And then Calvin Ridley also out for the year. Two guys that we were probably counting on all season. What does that do for your lineups if you have one of those guys?
I think the DJ Chark one isn't. It's a big deal, obviously. We still know all the details. Leaves a lot of openings up in that offense. We never really know who's going to get the ball the most. D.D. Westbrook's been hot or cold. We've seen Albert Wilson show up. We've seen, what's the other dude's name? My brain just stopped.
Conley.
Yeah, we've seen Conley. And, we've seen all different guys, and nothing's really steady at work. It's a whole situation I'm avoiding in fantasy. Only person I want any shares of in that offense is Leonard Fournette, and let's be honest, if he's on your team, you're starting him, regardless. So
right, yep, definitely.
Fantasy-wise, it's not a huge deal. As for the
Calvin Ridley
injury, I think Austin Hooper's back. He was kind of a non-factor last week. I think he steps up, and we should see a pretty big game out of him. And then your boy, Jeff, Russell Gage, I think we'll see an uptick in him. He's played well when he's had the opportunity. But he's going to be another plug-and-play guy who you're not going to feel great playing in fantasy playoffs, but unfortunately you may have to.
Yeah, it's crazy. Some of the questions I've been getting all week on who to start because there's so many big names that have just gone down for the year, and you're starting guys like you mentioned, like Russell Gage is going to be a starter. I think Darius Slayton's probably going to be a starter for some people this week. There's just guys that you wouldn't think that you're starting. They're going to be starting this week. It's going to be rough. It's going to be a tough week 15 for some people out there.
I love Darius Slayton, so I'm okay with that one.
Yeah, I'm a big fan too. I think I put on Twitter just recently that because of Miguel Shapton, who came on our show early in the offseason, he's the reason I drafted Darius Slayton in the third round of my dynasty draft, and I'm loving life right now because he's going to save me because I lost Mike Evans this week, so he's going to be my Mike Evans fill-in going to Miami this week, so that'll be good. All right, moving on to the next guy. You talked a little bit about Mike Evans a little bit, but go ahead and talk about Mike Evans and what that does for Chris Godwin and Melissa.
I think if you have Godwin, you're starting him, you're playing him. Even with Evans, I mean, it's unlikely that you got both of them anyway in a draft. You also have Perriman to look into. If you have Mike Evans, you can look into him to replace at least for the rest of the season, maybe not so much in a dynasty.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you are looking at Dynasty, there's a name you want to look out for, Justin Watson. I know, again, we talk about Miguel Shapton talking about Darius Slayton. The class before that, his kind of sleeper guy was Justin Watson. He's their, I guess, third receiver now with Perriman on the outside. Watson's super athletic. I think he's like a 91% spark rating for him. If he happens to be in the waiver wire, you can probably add him as a speculative add, a little bit of a stash to see if he can do anything, but he's someone you want to probably look at as well in some deep leagues. All right, Ryan, we'll go back to you for two more receivers. Marvin Jones just announced today that he's going on IR. So talk about what that does for Galladay in this offense. And then the other one is not really an IR situation, but it's OBJ wants out of Cleveland. Give me a little bit your thoughts on these two guys.
As for the Detroit situation, I freaking hate it. I mean, you have David Blow quarterback. You have no Marvin Jones. You have no carry-on. That offense is just absolutely decimated. There's no parts I want any of it. I love Galladay. I think he's phenomenal. I'm unfortunately have to start him with no choice in the playoffs. But if you have a better option, this might be the chance to sit. You might want to sit him because he's going to be getting double covered. He's going to have a below average, just put it nicely, quarterback thrown to him, who had, 8 fantasy points last week. We're not seeing much out of David Blow. We're not seeing much out of that offense. It's a steer clear for me, even against a terrible, terrible Tampa Bay defense. I'm not comfortable with it.
Yeah, so you're talking about better options there, and I actually was looking at better options, possibly starting Darius Slayton over him until I lost Mike Evans. So now I'm pretty much having to start Kenny Galladay with Darius Slayton as well, and then Keenan Allen's my third receiver. So I agree. If you got better options, think about those better options. But Galladay's still a stud, and I think that he's still going to get his target, so his potential is still there. But if you got better options, you may want to take those options. All right, last one we got here is the running back. Rashaad Penny was just starting to come into his own after a down rookie season and a sort of up and down second year. And then, of course, he goes out and he tears his ACL this last game. Talk about this for Dynasty a little bit, what it does for Penny, Melissa, and then what it does for Carson for the rest of the season.
In a Dynasty, I would hold on to Penny. I think he has good value. It definitely heightens the ceiling for Carson and also opens up some playing time for CJ Procise. So I don't think the Seahawks are going to do too terribly without Penny, even though he did have a couple boom games. I would look into possibly picking up Procise if you are without Penny.
Yeah, that's a good call because he did get some snaps after that he went out last game. So that's a good call on Procise there. They do like him. He just couldn't stay healthy for the longest time. And Ryan, we forgot to talk about OBJ a little bit. Talk about OBJ wanting out of Cleveland.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I mean, that team's just going down a spiral. But he wants out. He's not getting the ball. He wasn't really his choice to go there. It was his choice to resign, but they can get rid of him with minimal cap hit. I was reading today, it's like only $3 million in dead cap to get rid of OBJ. So if it's really that bad on both ends where they're not getting along, definitely see it happening either for draft picks or offensive line because they need all the help they can get there. And that team kind of needs a reboot. I don't think we'll see anything until the coaching situation is set in place, whether Freddie Kitchens is going to be back or not. If Kitchens is there still, I can't see any way OBJ is.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we kind of expected this, even before they, when he first got traded there, it was kind of like, is he going to stay there in Cleveland? And, it's not New York. There's no, big lights. It's not, at the time, they weren't really talked about too much until he went there. And they got, now we got Nick Chubb, and Baker had an awesome rookie season, and we still got Landry, and we signed Hunt, and all of a sudden they became like, the favorites to win the Super Bowl almost. It was like ridiculous. And we kind of, all this in the industry kind of thought about OBJ there and how that was going to work out. And obviously it's not working out. They're losing games. He's not happy. So, yeah, I think he's going to be out of Cleveland next year. He'll be somewhere else. Where he goes is anyone's
Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I mean, he's perfect for that market, and they need a guy who's got to bring in fans if they get that new organization there. You don't think it makes the most sense to me.
They're not gun shy with the whole Antonio Brown thing?
I mean, they should be, but come on, man. They're not. Look at some of the dudes they bring in and out of there. They're fine.
Yeah, you're right. Raiders have always been that way. They bring in those guys that are like borderline, dirty players, and they just make them into stars sometimes. All right, good stuff. All right, I don't want to really mention it, but I'm going to have to here. Pigskin Pick'em between me and Ryan. Of course, we have a contest all year, and whoever loses the contest, the other one has to put up a avatar on Twitter of choice of the other player. So what was the length of time again? Was it a week? I don't remember how long it was.
It was a month.
A month. I thought it was a month, but I was hoping it was a week.
I'm not taking it easy on this one.
So right now, Ryan has got me 125 to 112. Unless I make some miraculous comeback in these last couple of weeks here, I have a feeling I'm going to have some crazy Twitter avatar that he's already told me he's worked on. He's ready to put it on my Twitter account, so should be interesting.
If anybody is very good at Photoshop, who's listening, please shoot me a DM. I have ideas. I just want to make sure it looks nicer than I'm capable of doing.
All right, I would shoot you a DM because I'm pretty good with Photoshop, but I'm not going to help you in any way. All right, let's get into some this or that.
It's time for this or that.
All right, if you're new to the show, the way this works, I'm going to pick two guys, usually like fringe start players. It's basically a glorified start-sit between two guys. I try to give them some kind of cool name, some kind of link, some kind of similarity between the two guys that I pick, and give it a name, and then we decide who we're going to pick to start this week. So the first one I got up here, we're calling this battle Russell Westbrook. That's because it's Russell Gage versus D.D. Westbrook. Ryan, this or that, who are you starting here?
I think I'm going to start Russell Gage on it. The fact is the Falcons are playing the type of football where they're having to throw the ball an absolute ton because this time they're playing from behind. Their defense isn't performing. It's forcing them to throw, and they're going to see a lot of coverage swinging Julio's way. And I trust Matt Ryan a hell of a lot more than I trust Foles, Minshew, or whoever they decide to throw in their quarterback. So I'm going to roll towards Russell Gage.
All right, Melissa, what about you?
Even though I don't think he's a better receiver.
Yeah, I agree. I think Westbrook's the better talent, but I think that Russell Gage had the better situation. I agree.
Yeah.
All right, Melissa, what about you? Who you got, Russell Gage or D.D. Westbrook?
I'm going to go Westbrook. I am on the Minshew train for sure, and even though they're playing an Oakland defense, I feel like, between Conley and Westbrook, they're going to get a fair share of, airtime there. I don't think it's going to be a horrible matchup. I think that, it'll probably go in favor of the Jags, to be honest.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, I think that Westbrook has that sort of big playability where he can give you that one play that could basically, win your week. Russell Gage probably needs more volume in order to get there. So I think that if you need that home run hitter, if you're looking at your matchup, like I'm not going to win with a guy getting me 10, 11 points like Russell Gage might get you. I need that two catches for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns or whatever. Westbrook is the guy you probably want to start there. So if you need that home run hitter, go with Westbrook. All right, the next matchup we got, I'm calling this the Kings of New York. We got Darius Slayton, who we just talked about with the Giants. Mr. Robbie Anderson playing for the New York Jets. I think Slayton's got the better matchup, but Robbie Anderson's got the better track record as far as history goes. Melissa, we'll go to you first this time. Who do you have between Slayton and Robbie Anderson?
Jamison Crowder is my man, but I don't feel like he's been getting a lot of, targets, or at least been able to bring them in. So I'm going to go Anderson just out on a whim. Smarter option probably would be to go with Slayton, but I'm going to trust my gut and say Anderson.
All right, good stuff. Ryan, we'll go to you next. You got Slayton or Anderson in this one?
Slayton. He's been on fire lately. He's in a cake matchup versus Miami, who's 31st ranked defense and one of the worst teams in the entire NFL. And Ravens secondary is absurd. I'm not just saying that because obviously it's my team. We have Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, and his best case scenario is Jimmy Smith's on him, which is still a really, really good corner and better than anything that Slayton's going to see in Miami. So I don't think it's close. I'm not starting Robbie Anderson in 99% of situations this week.
It's funny because this is actually a one that's in my league, actually my team. I got to make this decision. Like I said, I have Mike Evans out. I got Darius Slay and Robbie Anderson. And going into that Monday night game, I had Anderson plugged in, and I'm hating life because I'm like, all right, I got Anderson. He's going against the Ravens. Not only that, but it's a Thursday night game, which we know typically is it always favors the better team. I can see the Jets kind of struggling in that situation. Then Slayton goes out and has that second half, and I'm like, all right, this is going to be an easy decision. I'm putting Slayton in, no choice. Put him in, he's a beast. And then the second half comes around, and he does nothing. So I'm like, all right, so which Giants team am I going to get? Am I going to get the one in the first half or the one in the second half? So now I'm kind of nervous once again. Do I start Robbie Anderson, who probably still will get a ton of targets, regardless of what the situation is? They may not be great targets, but he still will get them. Slayton, on the other hand, is a very boom and bust type player, especially with Eli Manning back there, but they are playing the Dolphins, so I still got a decision to make.
Put it this way, so the Ravens right now are 9th in pass defense. Before they got Marcus Peters, they were 25th.
Yeah, they've definitely made the...
Since they've gotten him, they've been the number 1 defense in the league.
Yeah, so that's a good call there.
There's why I'm leaning that way.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that. I think that Thursday night game also, I hate playing games on Thursday night. And I already have Le'Veon Bell in my lineup too, so I don't want to have both Le'Veon Bell and Robbie Anderson playing in that game because it's not going to be good for me.
Yeah, bowled 251 this weekend when he was missing practice.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, supposedly he was sick and he was out bowling, so go figure. All right, the next matchup we got, I had a hard time getting a cool name for this one, so we're just calling this one East versus West. We have the East receiver, Terry McLaurin, of course, plays in Washington, D.C., and we have the West receiver, Deebo Samuels, of course, plays in San Francisco. Ryan, we'll go to you first, man. Who you got in this one, Terry McLaurin or Deebo Samuels?
Yeah, it's super hard because they're both in fantastic matchups. I think you can flip a coin, really won't go wrong either way. But I'm leaning Deebo. He's been consistently better and more targeted on a week-to-week basis. Kittle draws so much coverage there that it leaves life easier for him. And Sanders, is he still a little bit beat up or no?
He's good now. I think last game he had a questionable tag, but I think he's been off the injury report now.
Yeah, and even if he is, he still showed up even more in his absence. So I'm leaning Deebo. I think they've both lost me in great young receivers, but I think Deebo's coming a little bit quicker. Yeah,
okay. All right, Melissa, who you got for this matchup?
I'm going to agree and go with Deebo as well. Jimmy G, there's not really much more to say. I mean, he's kind of on fire. That's what I'm going to go with. It's a hard one as well, but I'm going to go Deebo.
All right, I think I'm also going to go Deebo too, not just because I'm a fan of the 49ers, but I think that Deebo is involved not only in the passing game, but he's also involved in the run game too. We've seen a bunch of reverses that go to him, so he's a little bit more involved. I think that offense is a little bit more creative. Obviously, Jimmy G's a better quarterback overall. So I think Deebo is the pick here. I think, again, we'll go back to what I said with the Westbrook and Gage matchup. If you need that home run hitter, I think McLaurin is probably your guy. If you just need 10 to 12 points, I think Deebo is your guy. So depending on what you need from him, I think those are the kind of guys you want to go for. But Deebo is my pick as well. All right, the next matchup we got, I'm calling this one Pascal, me, a Miller Lite. This is Zach Pascal versus Anthony Miller. And Melissa, will go to you first this time. Zach Pascal or Anthony Miller, who do you got for this one? And we're going to assume that Taylor Gabriel is going to be out again for the Bears to sort of give Miller that little bit more value.
The way Trubisky's played the last 4 weeks or so, I'm going to have to say Miller. The NFC North games are unpredictable. I mean, I know it probably better than anybody being a Vikings fan, so I feel like the Bears are hungry for revenge, and they're going to try to take it from Green Bay. I'm going to go Miller.
All right, good stuff. Ryan, who you got for this matchup?
I think I'm going to do the opposite. I like Anthony Miller. I don't trust the volume. I don't trust any matchups in division like that. And I'm still not fully bought in on Trubisky. I think Brissett slings it all around, and when Pascal's had the opportunity, he's been force-fed, and he got a ton of targets. So I'm kind of chasing targets on this one. But again, Anthony Miller's the guy I prefer talent-wise, but I'm going kind of situation.
All right, so you're going with Zach Pascal, and they have the Saints on Monday night, right? Is that right? Yeah, they got the Saints Monday night, so he might see some Marshawn Lattimore, so that could definitely hurt his matchup a little bit. Anthony Miller's got the Packers, and they have a decent secondary as well, so I think matchup-wise, you can't really pick one or the other. I think I'm going to go Pascal as well, though, just from the sheer volume that he might receive. Especially with the Saints get up big, they're going to have to be passing the ball over the field, and I think Pascal is the one that's going to get most of the volume there. All right, we got a couple more matchups here. The next one we're calling Turn Up the Volume. This is basically two running backs that get a ton of volume but are not very efficient. David Montgomery going to Green Bay to play the Green Bay Packers, and Le'Veon Bell, of course, we just mentioned, is playing Baltimore this week. Ryan, if you got these two guys, who are you starting?
I've started left Bell, and for a reason why, neither's that efficient, neither playing that great. Bell hasn't had a 100-yard game this year, but he catches more passes. So I'm leaning towards the passes, and Baltimore's blitzing on more plays than any team in the NFL. I mean, against the 49ers, they blitzed on over 50% of the plays, and they did that same against Buffalo this week. So they kind of feast on those young quarterbacks. And it should lead to a lot of dump-offs to Lev Bell. It might be a super, super ugly 14-point PPR game where he catches like 8 balls for 30 yards. But I think the volume's going to be enough to make him a playable asset and a low-end running back too.
All right, good stuff. So you're going with Le'Veon Bell, even though he's having probably a career worst season. Melissa, who do you got for this matchup?
Going back to what I just said, I'm going to take Montgomery. The Jets are hit or miss for me as much as I like Darnold. I don't know how well that matchup's going to go against Baltimore, so I'm going to go Montgomery.
All right, yeah, I think that he's got the better matchup here, and this is another one of my choices. I picked some of my own choices for my own teams, but I do have this choice to make this week in my dynasty. I've got actually David Montgomery and Devin Singletary on my bench, and then I got Le'Veon Bell in my flex right now. And I'm tempted to put David Montgomery in there. I think the matchup with the Chiefs is better, but I'm going to play it safe. Le'Veon Bell's kind of got me here, so I'm going to go ahead and stick with him, even though he hasn't been great. He's had enough volumes to kind of keep me in the games. He gets those check down passes that from Darnold. So in a PPR league, I'm gonna go with Bell as well. All right, we got 2 more matchups. The next one here is we're calling this one "There's Red and Gold in Them There Tannehills," and that is Ryan Tannehill Ryan Tannehill versus Jimmy Garoppolo. Melissa, we'll go to you first on here. Who do you have? Ryan Tannehill's been QB like a QB1 or 2 since he's got the start here, and Garoppolo, of course, has been hot lately as well.
I have to mention that I had Tannehill, and I had too many quarterbacks and needed some running back depth, so I dropped him.
Ouch.
And someone picked him up immediately off waiver wire, and I was not able to get him back. I ended up getting stuck with Driscoll, so that did not go well, and I'm really salty. I'm definitely going to go Tannehill. I feel like, against Houston, I'm going to go Tannehill.
All right, good stuff. Ryan, who you got for this one?
Yeah, I'm going Tannehill. Like I said, he's the third, since he's been starting, he's third behind Lamar and Josh Allen for fantasy points scored.
Wow.
And I know, crazy. And Houston right now is 8th in passing yards allowed in the league. So it's an exploitable matchup. Houston's a team who's still going to be able to score on Titans to make it a little bit more high scoring affair, force him to pass. And it's a good matchup for him, man. I know Jimmy G has one too, but they're such a run-heavy team, and Atlanta's gives up yards absolutely everywhere. And the way Mostert's playing, I think they're going to lean on that run a little bit better. So I'm going to the team that's going to be forced to pass more.
Yeah, that was kind of my way of looking at it too. Is I think if Kyle Shanahan had his way, he'd probably hand the ball off 50 times a game and just never even pass the ball. So I think that if he can do that against Atlanta, they're going to run the ball like crazy, and Jimmy G won't have to do as much. So I think that I'm going to go Tannehill as well. And Tannehill also gives you that floor of the rushing ability. I think he's had a few games where he's had 30 or 40 rushing yards. So right there off the bat, you're getting 4 points, with the rushing, whereas Jimmy G doesn't have that kind of floor. He doesn't run quite as much, especially after last year when he got hurt trying to run. So I think I'm going to go Tannehill on this one. All right, the last one we got, and I had to really reach for this one. So this is this is a reach. I could not figure out any way to do this one, but this is it. This is what it's going to be. So this is a Biggie versus Tupac, old school rap here. So the first part of that is going to be, it was all Raheem. I used to read Word Up magazine. That's Raheem Mostert. And then the Tupac lyric is going to be, I wonder if Devin got a ghetto, which is obviously a wonder if Heaven got a ghetto, and that is Devin Singletary. So Raheem Mostert versus Devin Singletary. Melissa, who do you got?
Okay. I'm sorry, I was taken back by that. Mostert is a must start for me. Every day he was on the waiver wire recently. I picked him up and got him for free, I believe. If not, I spent like $1. So I'm starting him. I'm playing him every week, even though Singletary is, super talented. I'm going Mostert.
All right, good stuff. Ryan, who you got?
Mostert. I think Steelers' defense has been absolutely phenomenal this year. Teams aren't moving the ball on them either way, and the Bills just don't trust Singletary for some reason. He looked great last week. It's the first time I really got to watch him play. He looked great when he got the opportunities, but in clutch situations, they're still giving Frank Gore to get them 2.2 yards a carry. So I don't understand what they're doing there with him, and I don't trust his usage. And like we talked about before, San Fran's running Mostert. He looks great, and he's in a kind of matchup that they're going to be running the clock out and playing with a lead, not from behind. So I like that matchup for him a lot. So it's Mostert by a pretty good margin.
Yep, I agree. I think it's Mostert for me as well. And I've been screaming all season that Mostert's been our best running back, and they just keep putting him at the running back 3 and putting Tevin Coleman in there with his hesitant running style and getting stuff behind the line, whereas Mostert hits that hole he's going to hit the hole whether he hits the hole there or not. And I think Coleman doesn't do that. And with Burrito sort of getting back from injury, I think Mostert still gets the volume. Mostert also gets used in the passing game, as we saw a little bit last week. I think he's got 2 long TDs this year. So yeah, it's Mostert for me, and it's not close.
He can move, man. I was kind of shocked by it.
Yeah, you see that he leads the league in yards per carry? It's like 6.3 or something. It's crazy how much yards per carry he's getting right now. All right, guys. So after the break, we're going to have a Star Wars theme end of season awards. So just hang tight here real quick, and we will be right back after this commercial break.
In the unpredictable world of fantasy sports, when all hope seems lost and chaos and confusion rule, one hero will rise. And change everything. Going for 2.com. Because no one remembers the extra point.
All right, guys, welcome back. I'm here with Ryan and Melissa, and we are going to give out some end-of-season awards. And we're going to do it Star Wars style with the new Star Wars movie coming out in a couple of weeks. I hope you got your tickets because it's selling out. I know Ryan's got his. He's got his lightsaber over there. He's waving it around. Ryan, you bought tickets already, right? You got your tickets for Star Wars?
5 o'clock opening night.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, I got mine for Sunday night of that weekend, so... I usually don't go to the movies very often, but I will be going there to see that one. But I'm pretty excited about it. So I decided to go ahead and do our awards. I'll kind of give the name of the award. I'll explain it a little bit, and then we'll each give our players that we chose for that award. The first one I'm calling the Stormtrooper Award. The Stormtrooper, of course, they always kind of look awesome. They show up on scene first, but they're always the first ones to die. So this is going to be a player that started off really good and then turned to crap as the season went along. Melissa, we'll go to you. Who is your Stormtrooper Award this year?
Demarcus Robinson for the Chiefs. Week 2, 35.2 points. Week 3, 13.3. And he has not scored past 9.6 ever since, with Hill being back and, Lizard King, Sammy Watkins. I think that it's kind of closed out for him, and he's going to be probably wide receiver 3 at best for a while.
Yep, I like that one. I like that Chiefs. That's a good call there. I actually had forgotten about him. He's been so bad lately.
Right.
Ryan, who is your Stormtrooper Award?
We are on very similar brain waves on this one. I went with Sammy Watkins. He had 36 points week 1 and then disappeared. Every week, he just dropped, just trash. His most yardage in any game was 63. He hasn't scored a touchdown since week 1.
Ouch.
He's been utterly useless, and it's not even this season. It's been Sammy Watkins' MO. He's looked fantastic. He's flashed, got your hopes up, looks awesome, then shut you down. And just, it's miserable. I might be actually done with him, and it pains me to say because I love the skill set, but it's just not there, man.
Yep, I actually had Sammy Watkins as well as my pick as well because I think he came out gangbusters, and I actually had a guy in my league that had him on his bench that first week, and he was upset. Of course, started him the next couple of weeks, and then was upset that he put him in his lineup. So Watkins, I think, is one of those guys that you're right. I mean, he kind of came on the scene. We all thought he can be a receiver 1 with Tyreek Hill out of the lineup, and just didn't happen that way. So love that one. All right, the next one we are calling the Burrito Award. Burrito, of course, is one of the most famous characters, yet he has the smallest role as he gets killed shortly after the first time we meet him. So this is the one-hit wonder player. This is the one guy who has one big game, kind of like Sammy Watkins, but we're looking for like a mid-season kind of guy. Had one big game, got everyone excited, and then nothing after that. Ryan, I'll go to you first this time. Who do you got for your Burrito Award?
This guy, he does it every single year. He could win this award every year. That's Taylor Gabriel. We mentioned him before. He's had one game where he had 39 yards and one touchdown, other than was relevant. But the rest of the season was trash, and he had one game, week 3, 75 yards, 3 touchdowns. He won you leagues if you were desperate enough to throw him in, or just decide to play him in DFS. He's another guy, useless, almost every game of the season, every single year, but always gives you like 1 or 2 games that just disgust you that he's on your bench.
Yeah, good one. I like that one. Melissa, who do you got for your Burrito Award?
Tony Pollard.
Nice.
Week 3 against Miami, 21.8. Goose Egg the next week, 1.9, 1.3, and so on. He had one good game after that against Detroit week 11, 17.6, and then pretty quiet ever since. So definitely Burrito.
Yep, I love that one. I love Tony Pollard. So my Burrito Award goes to one Mr. Will Fuller. Of course, he had that, what was it, week 5? He had like 50-plus fantasy points, and he hasn't scored double digits since then, or even before then, for that matter. So Will Fuller, I know he's had some injuries, but he's played enough games for him to qualify for this award, and he was just terrible up until that game. I think he jumped from like wide receiver 80, and then that one game he went to like wide receiver 8 for that 1 week that on the season. So that's how big that game was. Hasn't done anything since then. So Will Fuller is my Burrito Award winner. All right, the next one I got, we're calling the Jawa Award. Of course, the Jawas are scrap collectors. So this is a player you got off the waiver wire, and it turned into something very, very valuable. Melissa, we'll go to you first.
You skipped Darth Vader.
Oh, you're right, I did. You're right. We'll go to the Darth Vader Award first. Darth Vader Award, of course, was the bad guy until the very end when he turned good, killed the Empire. So this is a guy that was terrible all year, but came on at the end of the season.
I'm going to go Alexander Madison, my boy, sitting behind Dalvin Cook. And, Kirk is getting pretty comfortable. They're doing a lot of switching up and, play share. So 11.3 week 13 and 8.4 week 14. It's not a horrible, running back 2 if you need one.
All right, good stuff. I like that one. Ryan, who you got for your Darth Vader Award?
This one was really painful for me. Where he started out the season, 1.7 points, 2.7, 15 in there, 6.3, 10.9, 3.9, 6.4. Started out terrible for Joe Mixon. He broke my heart because I've been on the bandwagon forever. I blame most of it on his offensive line, though. But as of late, his season high last week with 23 carries, 146 yards, and popped off for 24 points. He's hit over double digits in 5 of the last 6 weeks. He's been a playable guy and either low-end RB1, high-end RB2 for the past 6 weeks now, and it's kind of turned the season around after just a terrible start.
Yep, I agree. I like that one as well. My Darth Vader Award is going to go to Mr. Robbie Anderson. He did have one big game in Week 6 versus Dallas, but other than that, he's been pretty bad all season. But the last 3 games, he's got 18.6, 17, 24 versus Miami. So Robbie Anderson is my Darth Vader Award this year. All right, so now we'll do the Jawa Award. Again, they're scrap collectors. So this is the guy you got off the waiver wire, and then it became something valuable for your team. Melissa, who do you got for your Jawa Award?
I've actually got 2. Drew Lock and Noah Fant have been, Noah Fant's not completely consistent, at least as consistent as I like him to be. But 21.3 against Houston. He's definitely like a streaming tight end, but I'm kind of dire right now, so I'm going to be starting him.
Good stuff. All right, yeah, that combination's been pretty good too in Denver there, so I like that pick a lot. Ryan, who you got for your Jawa Award this year?
I've got Darius Slayton. We've talked about him a few times tonight. He's had some absolutely monster weeks. He's been free majority of the season because he was kind of buried on the depth chart, and a lot of people didn't know about him. He's been a guy who stepped up. He could have been up there for a couple of the other awards we brought up tonight, but I think he's a guy who we've gotten for free the last time in fantasy, and we're seeing a guy who's going to really step up and be huge for the fantasy playoffs.
Good stuff. I love that one. So the guy that I took, it's sort of, he has the career scrap heap sort of player. He's been pretty terrible his whole career, and all of a sudden he seems to be one of the most consistent receivers out there right now. That's Mr. Devontae Parker. He wasn't drafted in most redraft leagues. He was owned in a few dynasty leagues, but most of the time he was on the waiver wire. If you added him and started him and played him over the last few weeks, I mean, he's been one of the most consistent receivers in the entire season this year. So Devontae Parker is my Jawa Award winner this year. All right, the next one is the Luke Skywalker Award. This is a young, naive player at the beginning and becomes a Jedi Master. So this is a guy that's a rookie or second-year player that is now a stud, every week starter. Ryan, who you got for your Luke Skywalker Award?
Yeah, I think this might be one of my most excited ones. DJ Moore, man. He's a dude whose training I've been a huge supporter of since he came out, and he's blossomed into a fantasy star this year. He's top 5 receiving yards. Touchdowns just the only thing missing, which once those catch up to his target share, he's going to be an absolute superstar in the league, and he's already showing that now. He's consistently double-digit fantasy points at a minimum. He's hit double digits I'd say all but like 4 weeks all season.
That's
He's
awesome.
been an absolute fantasy killer.
And with the backup quarterback, too.
Huh?
And with the backup quarterback.
With a backup quarterback, and other than Christian McCaffrey, nobody on that offense is really doing too much.
Yep.
And it's been all DJ Moore. Before the season, there were people on that Curtis Samuel train. We talked about it on here. It wasn't something. It's like he's not DJ Moore, man.
Right.
DJ Moore's a special talent, and everybody's starting to see it.
I'm surprised you didn't go. There's a guy in the Facebook group, Kyle. He always tunes in. He mentioned Lamar Jackson. How'd you not go with your boy Lamar Jackson? Thought for
Lamar's
sure.
Gonna be up there for a different award. Don't you worry your sweet little head.
All right, good stuff. All right, Melissa, what do you got for your Luke Skywalker Award here?
I'm gonna go with Josh Jacobs. I think, kind of going with what you said, Ryan. He's only had 3 weeks under double digits. As of now, I mean, he's out, but I don't know. Pretty surprising to me that the Raiders are starting to do something.
Yeah, I like that Jacobs call because I actually was not on Jacobs coming into the season. I thought he'd be okay. I didn't think he'd be a volume guy, but he's been a volume guy. I think the Raiders probably don't use him enough. He's been one of those guys that you can just plug in your lineups and play him whenever he's in there. And I think whenever he has a good game, they win, and when he plays bad, they lose. So that's something that kind of goes on hand in hand with his value there. So my Luke Skywalker Award is going to be from Ryan's Ravens, but it's not Lamar Jackson. It's actually Mark Andrews, the tight end there. I think that we saw him last year sort of, start to come into his own a little bit. He wasn't super high talked about this year. I know me and Ryan were pretty high on him. We both had him in our top 10. But now he's tight end 4, I believe, right now on the season. He's an every week starter. You got to have him in your lineups. Lamar Jackson looks for him. He's their go-to receiver. So Mr. Mark Andrews is my Luke Skywalker Award. All right, the next one we got here is the Yoda Award. I'm going to put exactly what I said here. Yoda is old as fuck, but can still kick ass. So this player is an older player, but still has some good fantasy value. Ryan, I'll go to you first. Who is your Yoda Award?
I feel like I didn't know this before. It might be the same as Melissa. So if it is, I'm going to let you give all the information. It's Adrian Peterson. Was that your... Wow, okay. I mean...
Nope.
I saw the Vikings had I know all Vikings fans are forced to love Adrian
Peterson. Didn't even cross my mind. I'm ashamed.
I'm a little embarrassed about it for you. But yeah.
He's been out of sight, out of mind, to be honest. A couple years going now.
Fair enough. Adrian Peterson has outperformed every single person on the planet's expectations. Before Geis got hurt, his lowest fantasy output through the first 7 weeks of the season was 14 PPR points. And Geis is out again. Yep. And they're going to lean heavily on Adrian Peterson because that's a dumpster fire for an offense. Other than McLaurin, their quarterback situation's rough. What are you going to do to try to still stay competitive in that terrible division, run Adrian Peterson.
There you go. He is definitely the Wolverine of the NFL.
He's so old and he's so good still. I don't understand.
All right, Melissa, who do you got for your Yoda Award?
Larry Fitzgerald.
Nice.
15 years experience, and he is still making big plays happen when he can. You got Kyler Murray in as quarterback, who's young. He's starting to use his legs, but he can pass that ball. And when he does throw it, Fitzgerald, you can count on him to be a good target. I'm going to go Fitzgerald for sure.
I love that. Actually, I almost had Fitzgerald in mind, but then I thought that someone else might have him, so I looked for somebody else. And I'm going to go with a guy that not only is he old, but he came into the season with a major injury from last year.
I changed my first answer because I knew you were going to pick him.
Nobody had this guy doing anything, and that's Mr. Emmanuel Sanders, who had the Achilles injury last year. He's 32 years old. You think that you're pretty much done after that. He's come in and been, he's been awesome. Then he got traded to my team, and of course he's been even better with my team. Had a monster week this past week, even threw a touchdown pass this past weekend. So Mr. Emmanuel Sanders has definitely been one of my favorite old players this year. So. All right, moving on to the next award here. We have the Admiral Ackbar Award. Of course, he's famous for the "It's a Trap" meme that we always post on Facebook and Twitter. This is the popular sleeper player that everybody fell for and then ended up being not very good. Ryan, we'll go to you first. Who do you got?
I somehow missed the word sleeper on this, but I'm still sticking with my answer because I wasted multiple first-round picks in multiple leagues on him. That's James Conner. What a freaking letdown he was, and I don't like to kick a guy while he's injured, which made me almost lean away from using him. But we're looking at a guy, he still played 8 games this season, and outside of one great performance, his most yards in any game is 55 yards. He had double-digit carries in all those games. He didn't put it out, minus against the Miami Dolphins game where he shredded them, brought people some hope, then he got hurt after that. If you had him in the first round this year, it killed so many teams.
Killed me.
And, I fell for the trap late. I was against him all offseason. I was on the show. And you know what? I kind of just heard the noise, and drafted him, and I hated myself for it.
Yep, I actually fell for that trap in the Scott Fish Bowl, and it ruined my season because not only did I take that trap, but I fell for the Todd Gurley trap as well. So my top 2 picks were James Conner and Todd Gurley, so I had no chance to start. All right, Melissa, who do you got for your Admiral Ackbar Award?
I couldn't really think of anyone that completely shit the bed for me, so I went Odell just because he's so unreliable, getting double coverage all the time. I know that he's had a lot of, double-digit weeks, but I still have benched him probably the majority of my season.
Yeah, I agree.
Just because I don't feel completely confident in Baker just yet. And it's the Browns, being from Ohio, I want them to do well, but something in my bones tells me I can't trust it.
Yeah, I like that because the more you drafted him, he definitely hasn't been what you expected him to be. So definitely OBJ is the Admiral Ackbar Award because you fell for that Browns hype. So my Admiral Ackbar Award actually goes to, we're going to go back to my Niners team, Mr. Dante Pettis. I was drafting him over a lot of players that I shouldn't have, including guys like Christian Kirk, who's been pretty good. I drafted him over Emmanuel Sanders, a bunch of other guys that I probably shouldn't have taken him over. I was kind of buying in the hype that he was the number 1 receiver. I figured him and Garoppolo would sort of blossom into this 1-2 combination. Now he can't even get on the field. He's basically the wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 on my team right now. Can't see the field. Hasn't had any good games all season, and I kind of fell for that pretty much in all my leagues. Anywhere I can get him, I grabbed him and definitely paid for that. So Dante Pettis is my Admiral Ackbar Award this year. All right, now we got the Lando Calrissian Award. This one basically is one of the biggest plot twists in Star Wars was when Lando sold out Han to Darth Vader. So this is going to be your biggest surprise player. This can be a surprise good, surprise bad, however you want to look at it. This is your biggest surprise. Melissa, who do you got?
For me, it's Derrick Henry. I did not expect him to come out. Right now, he's number 11 overall. Came out week 1 against Cleveland, almost 30 points. And he's been pretty good sense. Maybe a couple like dud weeks, 33 points, 28 points, 23, 23. You're starting him, you're playing him if you have him, and it's surprising to me.
Yeah, I love that one. That's a good one because I was not on the Derrick Henry train either. I think we talked about a lot over the offseason about how his last 6 games basically made his season last year, and that's not sustainable. But apparently it is sustainable because he's been doing it all year so far. He's been a monster. So I love that one. Ryan, who gets your Lando Calrissian Award?
I'm actually going with his teammate, Ryan Tannehill. I mean, who expected that, man? He went from the bench to absolutely setting the fantasy world on fire right now. And we saw Mariota come in there with we thought were good weapons and not do anything. It made us doubt everything we knew about that offense. And Tannehill came in and made it all look good. I thought about A.J. Brown as well because I knew he was a talented guy. I just didn't think we'd see anything out of him because they said he was behind R.I.P. Corey Davis, who could have been in our last award. But he was back there, and they were an inept offense. But now it's looking completely different. Tannehill's thanked for it. He's going to be a guy who earned himself a lot of money. Yeah,
I love that one. That's a good one. So my award goes to Mr. DJ Chark. You know, coming into the season, everybody had, is it going to be Westbrook? Is it going to be Conley? Is it going to be Marcus Lee coming back from injury? Nobody mentioned DJ Chark. He was like an afterthought. He was forgotten about. Comes out week 1, catches a bomb from Nick Foles. Nick Foles gets hurt on that play. Everyone thinks, okay, you know, now he's going to disappear because now he's got a backup quarterback. And then him and Minshew get this chemistry going. I think right now he's sitting at wide receiver 11 in PPR leagues right now. And I believe he was probably going undrafted in most leagues. He may have been owned in some dynasty leagues. I
love it. I love him.
Yeah, Shark has been just amazing. And I love that, you know, you got the baby shark sort of moniker that he goes by, so that's pretty awesome as well. So yeah, DJ Shark is my Lando Calrissian Award this year.
I'm sorry to anybody on the podcast from early offseason when I called him Rashaad Penny 2.0. I apologize.
Hey, at least you can admit when you're wrong, man. It happens sometimes.
I'm just hard on that.
DJ Chark on the 1s and 2s.
Good stuff. All right, the next one we have is the Jar Binks Award. Of course, Jar Binks is one of the most annoying characters in Star Wars. He was very disappointed. He was kind of hyped up when going into that first episode there when he was going to be there. He was kind of the next popular character that they thought he was going to be, and he wasn't that popular character at all. So this is going to be biggest disappointment on the year. Melissa, who do you have for your biggest disappointment?
Antonio Brown. Just ridiculous, all of the controversy and crybabyism. I can't get with it. I can't. I'm done.
That's
I'm
actually
done with Antonio Brown.
It's actually a really good one because now I just envision Antonio Brown looking like Jar Binks and making those weird sounds that he does. It just
the Michael Jordan cry face.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, their English is about the same.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. All right, Ryan, who do you got for your Jar Binks Award?
I was going to go with the fantasy football counselor, but I'm going with O.J. Howard. Wow, we had him as a top 5 tight end, and he was just miserable. He had 6 games with under 5 fantasy points. He hit double digits once on the season. He was a guy who we thought was going to bring some consistency to an already terrible position, and he just dropped the ball, literally and figuratively. And I don't know if it's I don't think it's a lack of talent. I don't understand why. And he's the LVP for me.
Yep, I agree.
He's a Jar Jar.
Yeah, he's definitely he's my pick as well, O.J. Howard, because I had him coming into the season in my Dynasty League. He was my number 2 tight end. I had Zach Ertz as my starter, so I've been okay with that. But I was kind of looking at my future like, all right, I'm set. I got Zach Ertz. He's a little bit getting up there in age. I got O.J. Howard stepping in the back. I should be good for a long time in my Dynasty. Now I'm worried about my tight end position because I have O.J. Howard and just not doing anything at all. I mean, he's come on a little bit lately, but still not what you expected him to be. And I think O.J. Howard definitely gets that award for me as well. All right, we got 2 more awards. The next one's going to be the Han Solo Award. Han Solo is kind of the underdog. No one expected very much from him. This is going to be a late round guy that ended up being very good in the end. Melissa, who do you have for your Han Solo Award?
Gardner Minshew. 6th round, 178th pick, I think. came out starting for the Jags and has not disappointed me. I think he's had 1 week against New Orleans. It was horrible. Houston was not a good matchup, and then they decided to put Foles back in. But he's done pretty well, after that horrible game Foles had. So for the most part, I'm starting him, and I will continue to ride that train.
Yeah, I love that, because not only was he an underdog in fantasy, but underdog in the NFL in general. I mean, we had all these high-profile rookie quarterbacks coming in, and Gardner Minshew has probably been one of the best of the group. So, yeah, I love that one. Ryan, who was your Han Solo award?
It's a guy we completely forgot about. Every year we bought into the hype, and every year he let us down. And this year, when the hype finally went away, he brought himself back up from the ashes. And that was Devontae Parker.
Nice.
I mean, right now he's a top 24 wide receiver. He was in my waiver articles from weeks 5 to 12 because he was still even through the point where he was at wide receiver 30, 24, he was still available in like 50% of leagues.
Wow.
Nobody caught on to it, and it's because nobody wanted to. We were all just dead to the hype. And now he's giving you solid performances every single week. And get ready for that hype to come back next year.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how he's definitely turned around, because, I mean, he's been the preseason hype king. I mean, every season, every year, it's like, man, Devontae Parker looks really good. Devontae Parker is making plays that are unbelievable, and we're like, we don't see it in the game, so we couldn't trust it. And now we're finally starting to see it in games. So I think that maybe he can be a good receiver going forward. And if you happen to hold on to him in your dynasty leagues, I do have one guy in my league that basically held on to him this whole time, and now he's reaping the benefits of that. So definitely a late bloomer. So my Han Solo award goes to Mr. Lamar Jackson. Coming into the season, everybody was, is he going to be a top quarterback? He can't throw. I know Ryan was on my show pretty much every single week defending him, saying he's going to be more accurate this year. They're not going to run the ball as much as they did last year, the same way they used him, and everybody's saying, no, we can't do it. I believe he's still at QB1 and on pace to break the highest quarterback for season. That's Patrick Mahomes from last year. He's on pace to break that record. So Lamar Jackson is my Han Solo award this year. All right, the granddaddy of them all, the big one. This one is the Princess Leia Award. Of course, she is the unquestioned leader of the rebellion, and arguably the most important person in all of the Star Wars movies. This, of course, is going to be your fantasy MVP. Ryan, who do you got?
I mean, you just talked about him. That's Lamar Darius Jackson. He's been an absolute superstar. He's going to break Michael Vick's single-season rushing record this week. He's on pace for over 1,200 rushing yards. He's 9th in rushing yards in the NFL, regardless of position. He has 6 touchdowns as a runner. He would be a top 12 fantasy running back, except for the fact he's a QB. And he's leading the league in touchdown passes. He's had Offensive Player of the Week 4 times this year, Offensive Player of the Month this month. He's breaking every Ravens record we've seen, and he's on pace to break a ton of NFL records as well as the fantasy one. If you got him late after the 10th round. Tons of QBs off the board, and he's legit been a top 5 fantasy QB every single week. You can put him in, no worries. He's matchup proof. And if you have him, you're winning.
Yeah, I agree. I think Lamar Jackson was definitely in contention for my Princess Leia award as well. He's been a monster. I think because I play in a lot of one quarterback leagues, he wasn't up there quite as high. I think if I played Superflex more often, he might be my number one. All right, Melissa, who do you got for your fantasy MVP, your Princess Leia award?
As much as I would love to say Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, this kid is remarkable. He's got more 20 and 30-point games, than I can count to tell you right now. And, people that put up projections, 25 projected points next week, week 16 against the Saints, 26, week 17, 26. I mean, this kid is going to do big things in the league, and, if you get lucky enough to get him in a draft, you are starting him every week. You might even want to start him on a bye. Yeah. This kid's remarkable. Yeah,
he's been amazing, and actually, I have him as my fantasy MVP. My Princess Leia award as well goes to Christian McCaffrey. I saw a stat on Twitter, and I had to fact check it to make sure that it was right. But if you add up Alvin Kamara and Todd Gurley's fantasy points, Christian McCaffrey still beats them both by 30 points in the PPR league.
I saw that, I think, too.
Ridiculous amount of points that he's put up. I have him in my Dynasty League. He's the reason that I went 11-2 this year. He's been absolutely amazing. I mean, this is a guy that's getting like 30-point games in games he doesn't even score a touchdown. Like, how crazy is that? I mean, I think he had 30 last week and didn't score a touchdown because he gets so many passes, so much usage. They had a stat, too, earlier in the season where he was getting like 95% of the snaps, and they had at least 5 quarterbacks that hadn't played that many snaps because they come out the field for various reasons, for a wildcat or whatever, and he had more snaps than some of the quarterbacks. So, insane.
Remember when they were going to do a little bit more of a committee this year?
Yeah.
and bring him in some help. And remember when they said that last year, and they still didn't the year before. So 2 years straight of the same rumors and ridiculous production. When they say it this offseason,
don't believe it. Exactly. Don't believe the hype. Christian McCaffrey is just amazing. All right, that wraps up the end of the year awards. Now it is time for our Forgotten Fantasy Player.
Get ready for GoingFor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
All right, Melissa, we're going to you. Who is your Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week?
I don't know if anyone's mentioned him yet. Beanie Wells out of OSU, played for the Cardinals. Nice. 31st overall pick in 2009. Played through in September 2012. He got put on IR due to turf toe and came back in November, played against the Rams and scored his first 2 touchdowns of the season. And then he got in arguments with management and said he was going to audition for all the other teams and tore his Achilles during a workout for the Ravens, Ryan. And then he never signed with the team again, but he had a career 625 carries for 2,471 yards with 24 touchdowns. Never to be heard from again.
Nice. I like it. And he has never been used, and honestly, I have forgotten about him. That's a great pull there. I love it.
Good deal.
Was he on the national championship team at OSU?
I don't know. It would have been his senior year, so it would have been like 2008 or 9. So I don't know. I'm a Michigan fan. I don't go for that. Go blue.
Good stuff. All right, that is it for the show, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Ryan, give us real quick where we can follow you at on Twitter and where we can find you on the interweb. Oh, you're on mute, Ryan.
Sorry, preparations for Fitz being a jerk at the end of the podcast. Find me on Twitter, Ryan Searfoss at FancyFB Connect. You're going to be seeing me soon on the Going for 2 War Room. So I still don't get used to saying it.
Yeah.
The War Room, obviously see me here all off season as well. Find me at the Dynasty, or blah, blah, blah.
Fancy.
Oh my God, my brain's hot. They're going to hate me for that. The Dynasty, you can find me at the Dynasty Draft Room. God, my brain's done tonight. And find me everywhere on Twitter, Facebook, wherever. I'm all around.
All right, good stuff. Melissa, what you got for your Twitter account? And do you do any content? I know you're kind of just a fantasy football fan. I know you had a podcast just recently you went on. Anything you want to plug?
Not really. Just at Melissa Ray McJ. That's RAE. And then my buddies, if I could shout out their podcast real quick, I will.
Absolutely.
It is let me double check because I think that they had changed their handles. So let me double check here. At Beard Brothers FF, and it's the Beard Brothers Fantasy Football Podcast. They're on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, I believe, SoundCloud. So be sure to check them out. They have really good insight every week. Their episodes are kind of long, so gear up for a good ride.
Yeah, because that's actually where I found you at. Because I kind of found you on Twitter. I think you reached out and asked me a sit-start question. I clicked on your profile and saw you had a podcast. I was kind of like, all right, let me check this out. And I was like, all right, let me get her on the show because she's pretty good. So, great stuff there, guys. Check out that podcast. It's on, like I said, iTunes and Spotify, but anywhere you can find podcasts, definitely check that out. All right, guys, as always, you can follow me on Twitter at Jeff Lambert77. You can find me GoingFor2.com. Find me here every Tuesday and Friday night. Find me in the Going for 2 War Room here pretty soon. That's a wrap.